Hi guys, and welcome back to the Purple Corner. I am Roadto200subcribers, and this is the Purple Corner where we create wealth with wisdom. Today I have a fave, Aunty Kgatliso, and she's just going to run us through a conversation about navigating the creation or the establishment of self-identity as a parent for your child and as a child for your parent, or for yourself outside of your parents' guidance or with your parents' guidance. And we're just going to touch a bit on the technological space that we find ourselves in and what influence that has on how we raise our kids in today's age. So the topic is very easy today. But before we get into anything, please tell us a bit about yourself and introduce yourself for the viewers.
Okay, my name is Kgatliso Hamilton. 46 years old, mother of two. My eldest is a daughter, Snovoyo, and my son is 10 years old, Yolo. I'm married, live in Pretoria. Home is Dube, Soweto. Grew up with Gugu's mom.
Yes.
From creche up until high school when she left St. Matthew's High School.
Yes.
So yeah, in a nutshell, that's who I am, and I'm a working mom. There's a lot of things that I do, but yeah.
Okay, the most important conversation in today's conversation is just about allowing your kids to find their own self-identity through the world, through everything, but holding their hand, right? So I often say our expectations of other people are binded to ourselves and are outside of those people's realities. So I've just come to understand that a lot of parents have expectations of their kids which are sometimes out of their kids' realities. So I just want to know, how do you navigate allowing your kids to self-identify without projecting your expectations? Because I think it's difficult to expect parents not to have expectations of us. You brought me into the world, you raised me,
yes.
You taught me specific things, you've seen me from a young age, you groomed me for specific things. So I don't want to necessarily say you shouldn't have expectations, but how do you navigate your expectations? Because sometimes they're just out of your kids' reality.
I think one of the most important things I've seen over the years, and also more especially in the past months, is that some of the things, it's excitement,
yes,
they come and pass. So as parents, we tend to stress at the first time you see something and you are all worked out.
yes,
While you can still give your child that opportunity to say, explore it and see how it works.
yes.
I'll give an example about clothing as an example. She's a girl, my daughter. We go shopping, so we walk into the shop, and then I stop at the ladies section, and she passes through and she goes to the men's section. And she's like, I want boy shorts. Okay. She says, I want boy shorts, and I want hoodies, and I want big t-shirts, because girls' t-shirts have got a sign written there, cutie. I don't want the cutie part. I want a proper hoodie. It must be baggy and all of that.
Yes.
And interestingly, when we had the discussion, then she says to me, you have no idea how my self-esteem as Sino has gone up when I wear baggy clothes that are oversized. And what does that say to you as a parent? Partly it said to me, she's still discovering herself. Let me leave her, let her, as long as she is comfortable.
Yes.
But yeah, I would like her to wear dresses.
Yes.
But that's not her at the moment.
Yes.
But hence I'm saying, for all we know, it will pass. She will get over the boy clothes, she will get over the baggy clothes, and be more ladylike, because then out of nowhere she will then say, coming December I want to do manicure and pedicure and things like that. So that's the first thing that I would like to highlight, that we need to let our children be. But unfortunately, it's once again, it goes back to safety. It's not as easy as that.
Yes.
There's certain things that you can let them be,
yes,
but there's certain things you can't let them be. I've come to a conclusion to say, to some extent, our children are so naive. They are too trusting. And now and again, you need to be there to guide them,
yes,
to bring them back into on the road, basically. Because to them, they take things as they come, and sometimes they don't even apply their mind. They just take things as they are. So it's difficult. We have expectations. We had a very difficult discussion about her academic performance. She used to get demerits around talking in class. So she yappa too much. And she will get demerits for that. And it tells you something to say she likes expressing herself.
Yes.
But on the other side, she's an introvert. And then at the end of the year, they would write, she would perform. She's a very good performer.
Yes.
And at the bottom, they will say, if she can stop talking too much in class, then she will achieve more. So, and that has raised our expectations as parents, because when we push her, we say, you are capable of achieving more than what you're achieving now. And she's like, you guys don't understand, it's too hard. The higher you go, there's other competing things. We have problems. That's what you always say. We also have got challenges. We have our own problems. Like,
she sounds like a mini guru.
Yeah, but we also have problems. So it's not as easy as what it used to be. So in that way, and you try and explain to say, okay, keep your 90s and your 80s. If you've done bad, it must be 70s. Because if you go below than that, if you get your 50s, if anything happens, then you're on your 40s, then you're failed. You know, so you then manage that whole expectation, your expectation, with how they're capable of performing. Because at the end of the day, we always say, as parents, we always want the best for our children. And she says, we push them. She always says, but you guys as parents, you push us too much. And I always say, it's because we've seen that we're capable of doing that. So we need to push the boundaries, but be mindful of how we push the boundaries and make sure that we do not frustrate them in the process, we do not push them away in the process. And even discussions, accept as a parent that there are certain discussions that she will have with me, but there are discussions she would have with you, because of age differences. So in that community, also in managing my expectations, I have a diverse group of people. So I have Karabo. Karabo is in her 20s, and she will then have a discussion with Karabo, and she will say, Karabo understands me better on this issue than Rato understands me, or you understand me. So that community, select that community properly as a parent. And also godparents. Godparents, it's not nice to have. Apply your mind, because these people need to be part and parcel of your child. So the way the expectations that we have, the good things and the best things we want for our children, those people must hold the same values. And then you know that irrespective of who they talk to in this community, the message is consistent. So yeah. But it's difficult. It's difficult to manage those expectations.
That is actually so profound. So just about what you can't do, because in as much as you are a parent and you're expected to be a superwoman, you have ensured that your community is of the position that they can help you with whatever it is that you can't do. There's something wrong with my eye, sorry, but that is, for me, just is a conversation just about how. So last week we were speaking about how our relationship with our parents is our first relationship. So for me, firsthand, I know it's easier for me to be easy with friendships because of the ideas or the life that I was privy to. So my mom, just like you, big on community. I know I can speak to Aunty if I have a business idea. I know I can speak to Mamncane if I have something pressing that I know mom's going to shout at me about. She'll hear it, but not now. I don't need someone to shout at me. But Mamncane is there to just say, calm down, I think 1, 2, 3. You know, I've just been privy to the idea of friendshiping, like all my mom's friends are auntie. There's no my mom's friend, it's auntie, you know. But that has just instilled the culture of community in me, so much so that when I got to university, I struggled with just the idea of, yo, I'm alone, you know, because I've just always been privy to the idea of culture, and community. So I think that was very, very profound. But I just think I want you to ask you to give advice to parents who are not in a position of community, and just like you're very open to conversation, you're open-minded, there's a channel and a platform that you've created for your kids in order to come back home. How do parents who are not in that position or are afraid to get in that position, how can they get there?
Okay. You know, there's a lot of resources that are available to us that we don't we don't take advantage of.
Yes.
Family, it doesn't have to be family all the time.
Yes.
The friends, your network as well. Part of the network is the church for us. She goes for confirmation classes now.
Yes.
And I found that it helps give some point of reference as well, because I know that whatever we say in the house, they preach the same thing, even at church when she goes for confirmation classes, or it's something that she grew up with when she was going to Sunday school.
Yes.
You know, and the advice it would be, look out for platforms where you can engage with other parents and other women.
Yes.
I ran a session, I was approached by a former colleague who said to me, you know, I've listened to you talk, I like how you do things, can we set up this group?
Yes.
Most of the time I facilitate, but other people as well get the opportunity to talk. And we share ideas. And I said to them, this is our own community.
Yes.
And let us come together as mothers, let our children know each other and share ideas. And to my surprise, one of the ladies that was there, she's got a daughter who's the same age as my daughter.
Yes.
And she started implementing some of the things we were discussing, just not to take you back, but around technology.
Yes.
She started looking at the daughter's phone and realized that the daughter has got like 3 Facebook accounts. And she was shocked. She didn't know that the child has got 3 Facebook accounts. She didn't know. She said, guys, my child is a group admin for so many groups on WhatsApp. And I had shared what had happened with WhatsApp to say my daughter was included in a group.
Yes.
She didn't know who included her in the group, because then everybody was an admin. But on the side, someone started talking to her, said, no, I saw your name on the group, so let's start chatting on the side.
Yes.
So platforms like that help you. So it's not only around family, around friends, but your colleagues as well. As parents, and as I said earlier on, parenting is time.
It is.
So make it your point, be it school, programs, participate, go there, and use the time to suss out the parents of your own children.
Yes.
To say, are these the people that I can engage with? Because now we have, amongst others, sleepovers.
Yes.
But children, you need to know where you're sending your child to, what type of a family they are. But if you don't dedicate time in making sure that you engage with your child's friends, parents, understand who they are, and if they're open-minded as well, you start sharing ideas so that even if you're not there, if the other parent is there, they still take that responsibility and make sure that they share that. They make sure that kids are safe, the rules still stay the same. And they are adhered to. So there's different things that you can do, but most importantly, as parents, we are the first role models for our children. So what we do as parents, our children are watching, and we need to take that seriously as parents, because they are watching and they're learning a lot from us.
Yes. 2 last questions, then we're done. Firstly, I think for me, the main reason why the parenting series, above from what I said last week, was that during the lockdown period, I was just forced to sit down and have a reflective time. And I realized sometimes what we do is we don't allow ourselves to be honest about our traumas that most times dictate our lives going forward. So I want to know from you, how have your past traumas, if any, have made or informed the decisions you made around parenting? So more often than not, like, I know there's parents who will make specific decisions or set rules or boundaries because of their traumas rather than the reasoning behind why you don't want. I mean, your trauma is reason enough. However, it's not enough just to say, because I've been traumatized, you know. Yes, your trauma is enough, your trauma is valid. However, how do you allow your kids to experience life without projecting your traumas onto them? Because just because you experience the trauma doesn't mean they're going to experience it or that they've experienced it.
I can't think of anything from my side.
Yes.
Or maybe I come from a home where I was brought up by my grandmother.
Okay.
And both my grandmother and my grandfather, for them, punishment was giving you a hiding.
Yes.
And as a result, at the beginning, I started giving hidings a lot. But it got to a point where I said, this thing is not working. But it also then started reminding me of what it used to do to
you.
And immediately I then realized that this is not the way to go about it. I need to find a different way of punishing the kids, and not exactly how it was done to me. But when we grew up, that was the best thing, and it worked. And I still vouch for it, by the way. I still vouch for it. But I think one of the things that we take for granted, as I said earlier on Google, that we always want the best for our children.
Yes.
We grew up, we had friends, and some of our friends, some of them drop out of school because they fell pregnant. Some of them, they passed on because of wrong mistakes that they did. Others were HIV positive amongst others, and they ended up passing on. And that affected me. And those are the stories that I share with my daughter.
Yes.
To say, when they talk about this, this is how I have experienced it. And it was such a traumatic thing to me that I do not want you to go through that. And as a way of explaining and taking them through things, to say these things, they really happen. But I don't then use those as a way of saying we can't do X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
So for example, if they want to go out with friends, I would think twice about it, obviously.
Yes.
But say to myself, do I know the mother?
Yes.
What type of home are they coming from? Is she going to be safe?
Yes.
But I still tell her, it is your responsibility to take care of yourself. Don't be too trusting, and make sure if you start feeling uncomfortable, call me. And we'll come and fetch you immediately. And so that's one way of, now and again you step in, and it's difficult, but you have to pull back and say, okay, I need to let her be. She needs to go to the movies with the friends. All those things. I mean, from when they were kids, when they were invited to birthdays, we always used to say with my husband, if say the birthday party is at Spain, when the birthday party is taking place, they would book a table here, because you will get into this birthday party and there's like 20 kids. How do you expect this mother and father or these parents to look after 20 children? Some of them, they are seeing them for the first time. It's going to be difficult for them to keep track who is still here, who's not here. So would they not put that whole responsibility onto those parents? But we'll sit there and we don't engage. She will now and again raise her hand and wave, but we let them be. And not allow our previous traumas, our worries to step in the way. But now and again, you throw an eye and make sure that the child is okay. So it's things like that that we do. Movies, it took us a very long time. We'd book the same movie. She will go in with the friends and will be on the cinema next door. And she didn't appreciate that, but it was that or nothing. So you want to go to the movies, we're going to be there, but we won't interfere with you. So it's difficult. But now and again, you need to step back as a parent and allow your child to enjoy and to build their own identity. And now and again, then on time, don't be too far, so that if needs be, you are able to step in as soon as possible.
Last question. So you just spoke about how difficult it is just to let loose. I know, like, I'm turning 21 this December, but my mom still thinks she must be involved in everything. She must hold my hand. So I understand that. But how have you allowed yourself to adapt to the different phases of your children's lives? So all the way from birth to date, how have you allowed yourself to adapt? Because the different phases are obviously come with different things. So when I was younger, I used to love having sleepovers, visitors. But now I have sleepovers and visitors because we want to go to a party. the lifestyle is changing continuously. How do you as a parent adapt to your different disciplinary rules, teachings, just parenting in the different phases? This is the last question.
Okay. I'll make an example about sleepovers.
Yes.
We said kids love sleepovers.
Yes.
It's what is happening recently or in the past few years. But we then said to ourselves, we are going to decide who they have sleepovers with. So it's family and very close friends like their godparents and their kids. Because we know that those people, we trust them, they have their best interest of them as well at heart. So we've done that. But it's difficult. It's difficult, but over the years, now and again, it calls for you to adjust, to change. I mean, my daughter will tell me and say, my friends are going to Mainland this weekend, and to say they're going to do what, not just to go around the shops, then they will go and have lunch, and then walk around. And I'm like, guys, safety issue, you can't be walking around the mall and doing that, but that's what they do. And I don't want to lie to you, we still refuse. The other day I asked her, out of a 10, how would you rate us as your parents? And she said 8 over 10, or maybe 7 over 10. And I said, what about the other 3? She says, you guys are too overprotective.
Yes.
But the reality, Gugu, is that I said to her, your friends may be doing this every month, going to the mall, nothing happens to them. But you will do that, and the first time you do it, something can go wrong. So unfortunately, some mistakes, there's no delete button, or there's no way to fix it. The damage is done, the damage is done. And I said to her, you won't die if you don't go to Medlin. And she gets unhappy with it, but she gets over it. And consistency as well, as parents. I think one thing that we've been able to do over the years as they grow up is having our own discussions with my husband to say, these are the rules, this is the message, and so that they don't feel that the other one is better than the other one. And we have been very consistent in how we do things. The rules, these are the rules, and they stay, irrespective of who they talk. And we've agreed as well that if you get to a point where you're not sure, or you feel, because kids can put you in a corner. If you feel that you're in a corner, the response is going to be, I still need to discuss it with your mom, or I still need to discuss it with your dad, so we'll come back to you. And we're not going to make decisions on the spot immediately. So it's been a journey. It's been a journey. And lastly, from my side, I always say, because I was brought up by my grandmother, parenting that I got from her and how it is today is completely different. And I always say, I'm giving what I don't know, to some extent, because technology, the times we live in, issues around safety, things have completely changed. And it needs you to be on your to be on your toes all the time, so that if anything happens, you're able to step in immediately. I mean, parenting for as I said earlier on, that parenting is time. I was sitting and saying to myself, I don't recall my grandmother going through my homework book or going through my books. But as a parent today, you have to do that. You know, I don't remember my grandmother saying to me, how was your day, or let's talk about things. It was, don't do that, and that's it. No explanation given. But these days, it's totally different, because over there, even when they are young, they will ask you for reasons to say, why am I not supposed to do this?
Why?
Why? By the way, I always say English is very rude.
Why? No. It's rude.
Let's move to an African language, because English is very rude. But the thing is that they want to know the why part of it. And we need to explain. And hence I said as well earlier on to say, I would rather we give the information than for them to get information in other ways, and they're not sure if that information is correct or incorrect. So it's difficult, and it's changing. It continues to change as they grow older. And as a parent, you just have to adapt. You just have to adapt. And as I said, what works for your mom may not work for me, because children are not the same. And even though I have a boy and a girl, they are two different beings. So I can't parent them the same way because they are completely different, and it requires different sets of parenting styles because they are individuals and they have their own different individual needs.
Lovely conversation, and I think for me the one and most important thing that stood out again was just about boundaries and just being assertive with your boundaries, which I think would also just reflect also as children. So we often find that we want to have relationships with our parents, but we're never willing to work for it. And I think that's where just the culture of boundaries comes in, that your parents, obviously their boundaries will obviously be a lot worse or a lot more harsh, if I could say, but that's because of the discipline that is instilled. But I also do think it does translate to the importance of us as kids also having boundaries with our parents. Just to say, not boundaries like I'm not going to talk to you or you can't touch me, but boundaries as to what is it that you're allowing your parents to let into your life. Do you not like it when they not reason with you, having conversation? If you want conversation, and to what extent is the conversation a comfortable conversation for you, just so that you can navigate that relationship for yourself? Because often than not, we do speak that parenting is a job that the parent must take on, and the parent, but we never speak about the role that us as kids have in just making sure that the relationship exists and the maintenance of the relationship. So for me, what I've got from this whole conversation is the importance of boundaries, communication, and the translation of your parents working for this relationship and you also having to put in work for the relationship.
And responsibilities. Responsibilities as well. I think it's one thing that we underestimate.
Yes.
And it starts with little things that you can put in place where you teach your child to be responsible. One of the things I like is around charity. And from a young age, we've taught them to say, take care of your toys.
Yes.
Because someone else can use them later. And so that they get used to making sure that they take responsibility, but they look after their toys, amongst other things. But everything, even clothes, I always tell them, if it doesn't fit you anymore, someone else can still wear it.
Yes.
So make sure that you take care of it. They've been asking for a dog, as an example, and we said to them, a dog comes with responsibilities. It needs to be walked.
It needs to be loved. It needs to be fed.
And
so many things.
To clean.
Yes.
And we said to them, we'll get fish instead. And they're not happy because they said, but we can't take it for a walk. And we said, no. But if we go away or if we are not home, then we don't have to worry about feeding it.
Yes.
While a dog is dependent on you. Are you ready for that? And they start saying, nah. The cleaning part, I'm not ready for it. And I said, okay, in terms of the well-being, it will come from your savings. And they're like, nope, I'm not ready to share my money with the pet. So those responsibilities as well play a very important role, that we need to teach our children to be responsible and do things in a certain way. Because we can't expect them at teenage age to say, I'm going to start now teaching you how to be responsible. No. It needs to start with small things like that. Them managing their money, their tech shop money, or their savings or their allowance, if you give them allowances, and chores as well. So we have chores in the house, and people, they understand that they have to do chores. Some chores have got money, others they don't have money, because others the work has to be done.
It's your livelihood, So that was so important for me, just about how we have rights. I have a right to parent, but I also have the responsibility to make sure that my parents are still beings that are alive, so I don't kill them with my actions. Thank you so much, Aunty Kgatliso. This was part 2 of the parenting series. Stick around, we are almost done with this series. Then we go into December, we say lifestyle a bit, and we're good. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe so that you can become a part of the family. And please press on that post notification bell so that you can get the notifications.